The question we get asked most often about the museum is, why do we have it here in the middle of this little onion patch of 4,600 people in upstate New York and not in some major metropolitan area? And the reason is that it's been tried in major metropolitan areas and failed. So we are the real deal now. We've been accepted by the press and the fans, and we're in the process of getting a little bit bigger with that pavilion that's out in the back. That's used for our annual induction weekend. It takes place the first weekend of every June. You have to be retired for 5 years from the ring to be considered, and eligible next year will be Joe Calzaghe, Felix Trinidad, and Oscar De La Hoya. And we'll announce the inductees the first week in December. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that all three of them get in at the same time. Okay, so maybe you'd like to come back up next year and be part of that.
I think so.
That's going to be great. Okay, when you're done here, you can go next door. We have the ring from Madison Square Garden that they had for the last 82 years, and they thought of us when they and just donated it to us. They sent their guys up and installed it for us, and that's the most famous ring in the world. Plus, you'll see what we have over in the gift shop for sale. Okay. Now, the village of Canastota itself was incorporated back in the late 1800s, and the famous Erie Canal that ran between New York City and Buffalo, New York, ran through the center of town, and the boatmen, to amuse themselves when they would get off the boats, would set up a ring in the center of town and stage bare-knuckle boxing matches. And then down through the years, there have been various boxing clubs here. And then in the 1950s, this former onion farmer that lived around the corner, Carmen Basilio, in 1953 became the New York State welterweight champion. In 1955, the world welterweight champion. And in 1957, in one of the great fights of all time, Carmen beat Sugar Ray Robinson for the middleweight crown at Yankee Stadium. Carmen passed away last November 7th out in Rochester, New York, at the age of 85 from complications from pneumonia. And he's sorely missed around here now because he was such a big part of the community. His nephew Billy Backus is also from the village, and he's also a former world welterweight champion. He TKO'd Jose Napoli's for the title in 4 rounds at the Syracuse War Memorial back in 1970. And Billy now lives in South Carolina. And Dickie DeVeronica's from the village, and although never champion, was ranked as high as number 8 in the welterweight division in the early 60s and fought all the great welterweights of that era. Dickie still lives right here in town, right around the corner from here. And Tony Graziano runs the restaurant and motel that's kitty corner from here. Tony's been in boxing for 65 years. He's been a trainer, he was Billy's manager, and a promoter of a lot of New York State fights. Tony has 10,000 great boxing stories when you get to go over there and see him.
I'll have to make a stop over there.
Yeah, absolutely. We opened in June of 1989, and this is a picture of the ribbon cutting. And in this picture we have Floyd Patterson, Kit Gavilan, Jose Torres, and Joe Frazier. And then the first induction ceremony took place in 1990, and this gentleman over here got inducted in the first wave, and he's been here 3 different times over the years. And a lot of the great champs in these snapshots come every year to root on the current wave of inductees. The great bantamweight champ Ruben Oliveros comes every year from Mexico. Marvelous Marvin Hagler makes it a yearly thing now. He lives in Milan, Italy, where he makes action movies.
Wow.
And he does boxing commentary for the BBC for the British fights. And next to Carmen and Ali, he's probably the 3rd most popular fighter we've ever had here. He does a lot of nice stuff for the community and works with the kids, and we love having him here.
Nice.
Okay? Okay, and as